Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Never Stop. We are continuing our series on Super Fantasy Brawl, Know Your Champions, and today we will be understanding Rath, the Stalker Beneath. So what we have here is a glass cannon, 0 defense, 6 health, and quite a bit of damage. The leveled up version of him does not gain any additional health or defense, but he does gain Rath's attack, gain poison. So poison is during the resolve attack damage step of this attack, resolve the attack damage twice. So what that means is all damage that's not negated by defense gets doubled. And as a result, Rath is really good against low defense targets and kind of garbage against high armor targets. There's some ways around that, but generally he is going to be wanting to find characters that don't have a lot of defense to go up against. So our first Rath card is Double Dealing. It's a blue core, movement of 2, indirect range attack of 2, and damage of 2. It also has double. Double is during the resolve attack damage of this attack, resolve the attack damage twice. And that, of course, is the same as poison, and the reason why those two abilities are exactly the same is because they stack with each other. Meaning that if a leveled up Rath did Double Dealing while he also had poison, it would deal 8 damage as long as none of the damage was blocked. So that's obviously a potentially insane amount of damage, but of course any type of armor at all will reduce it significantly. Next we have Nightshade, another blue core, movement of 2, draw 2, plan 1, Rath's next attack this turn gains poison. So this is a total setup card, and it's kind of doing two things. You can set up next turn with plan 1, and you can also set up the Rath's next attack to potentially do some serious damage. There's only a couple of cards that you can use Nightshade to boost. You can't boost Double Dealing because it's also a blue core, but he does have a yellow attack and a red attack. If you don't have those cards in your hand, then giving Rath's next attack poison isn't as good, but there's a decent chance with draw maybe you will get those cards. And if not, you still have the plan, so you can kind of set up for next turn. Alright, so here's Stalk Beneath. It's a red destruction core, and it is a skill. Deal 2 damage to an adjacent enemy, then place Rath adjacent to an ally. So again, this is a skill, not an attack, so this damage cannot be blocked and it cannot be reacted to. So this is, even though Rath's pretty bad at dealing lots of damage to high defense targets, here's a way he can get some damage through no problem. And then don't underestimate being able to place Rath adjacent to an ally, and that can zip them across the board, a huge amount of space, and put him somewhere where the enemy's not expecting him to be. Also, maybe Rath runs in and kills an enemy that doesn't have a lot of defense, but now he's sitting there exposed. He doesn't have much health or armor or defense, so he's going to get taken out next turn. When the enemy gets to go, you could, if you have this card left, then you could use it to pop him out of there. Next we have Burrow. This is a good candidate for Nightshade, the card we talked about that sets up poison. It is a yellow creation card, movement of 1, indirect range of 2 to 3, deals 3 damage, and after the attack, dash 2 towards the target, ignoring enemies and traps. Of course, you might not want to bring your delicate glass cannon right up to the enemy, where they can do their best to kill him. And dashes are voluntary, so if you don't have a reason to move Rath up, you don't have to. It's a 3 damage attack that Rath has a lot of ways of possibly adding poison to. So if against a low armor target, you're talking about 6 damage, which is crazy. Of course, Rath's not really wanting to be adjacent to the enemies because he's so vulnerable, and that's where possibly falling up with Stalk Beneath to get out of there could really work actually super well. If you imagine, again, you do some damage with Burrow and then you Stalk Beneath to book it. Of course, that's the perfect scenario of having all these Rath cards in your hand. So that's not going to happen all the time, but you can definitely see where having a handful of Rath cards could be pretty dangerous. Here's Sneak Attack. It's a movement 2 and 2 damage, and reactions cannot be played during this attack. So again, this card would really benefit from getting poison, either from being leveled up or from Nightshade. And unlike those other attacks that we just talked about, enemy can't play reactions, so you're gonna, if there's poison on this attack, it's gonna do 4 damage. It's just a really good way to know you're gonna get the kill. This isn't gonna do a lot against Dugrin, unless you find some ways to boost this. It's not gonna matter to him. So here is Rath's reaction. It's called Koda Ground. It's a yellow core, and it gives you +1 defense. And it might seem like it's a basic +1 defense, but it's just as good as the super high attacks that he has. So after the attack, place a target on an empty hex within 2 hexes. And so what this is a move that you get to make on your opponent's turn, which means that you could potentially move somewhere that causes you to score an objective on your turn. And normally, you kind of have to you set up to control an objective, and then the enemy has a whole turn to push you off. But if you play this as a reaction to their last card on their turn, there's nothing they can do. It's just all of a sudden your turn starts and you're scoring an objective. There's also not a lot of these cards. There's not a lot of reactions that do move you. It's a very powerful and a rather unique ability. That being said, you do have to survive the attack to use it. Don't forget you can play reactions on any champion, not just Rath. All right, so that was all of Rath's cards. So Glass Cannon, and unlike for example Gwen, he really has to get in there, which makes him even a little more vulnerable than her, I would say. Also, technically, her defense ability is stronger than his. She's a little more likely to survive, some pushback. That being said, his pure damage potential is off the charts, only against non-armored foes. So counterplay is definitely bring Dugrin, bring the high health characters with 1 defense like Kilgore and Goldar are not going to be too intimidated by Rath. Of course, at the same time, you can really boost Rath's ability to deal damage with support characters. Suzhou and Suzhou and Dugrin and Gwen all have ways to increase the value of damage. So if you can do that, increase the damage on other characters' attacks. So if you do that on a poisoned attack or a double attack, it makes it way better. All right, and that was Rath. Hope you're enjoying this Know Your Champion series. If you follow me on Instagram at Tabletop Never Stop, you can actually vote on which champion will be coming up next. So don't forget to do that, and thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time.